Cameroon, Bandu, Africa, Bandu, to the world, Bandu.
There's this famous artist called Bob Robert Nesta Marley who once said, if you don't know your history, then you don't know where you're coming from. We should learn, we should teach, we should understand, we should listen to those who know the history of this continent. We are such a rich continent, more than 30,000 million kilometers square. We are the largest continent on earth. But the geographical presentation of Africa makes it look like we are so small. We are immensely rich. Natural resources, the fauna, the flora, we have all these things in Africa. And we begin to ask ourselves these questions. Why is it that African historians are not writing books concerning our history? Why is it that we are asked to forget about our history? Because if you don't know your history, then you don't know where you're coming from, then you don't know where you're going to. You don't have a sense of direction. There are so many things the West has imposed on Africans, and we just did it. We continue, we just push ahead, we go, without knowing that these things they are saying or doing are impeding us, because we can't develop ourselves without knowing who we are, where we are coming from, what we have. Africa is so rich. And these imperialists, they got the message earlier. I went to Kenya recently. I visited the seaside resort city of Mombasa. I went to this area where the Portuguese built a camp, a military camp, and they were exploiting this area, Zanzibar to the part of Kenya and all that. One historian told us about this place. I have some videos even on my platform. I was like, oh, so you have a rich history like this, we don't know it. You know, the thing with us is that we shy away from our history, and at times we think it's primitive because the white man told us that it is like that. Because the white man imposed their own narrative to us. They met in Berlin in 1885, 1884, 1885. That was November to February, 5 months of rencontre with the Bismarck, with the Leopold II. They decided to partition Africa. Now the thing that they do, they decide for this, they want to divide Africa. They did partition Africa because they never wanted to be fighting battles in Africa. They were fighting already with the Arabs and all that. They said, okay, we'll not be fighting. Me, I have this territory. You have this other territory. That is how they partitioned Africa. Africa was one before. We were one before these people came in. And they did all that. The wrongs they did, they don't want us to write down these wrongs. And we continue the same life. The British colonial masters, they did so many wrong things in Africa. French colonial masters, a lot of wrong things in Africa. People lose their life. They executed a lot of people. We have the Portuguese colonial masters. The French imperialism is the worst case even, friends. Is the worst case even. So all these things they were the time we talk so. Now history for Africa. We must know our history. If we don't know our history, we don't know where we come from. At times we say it's easier to learn through cartoons. And I have this little video, cartoon that I want to propose to you. Let me propose to you, friends, this first 36 seconds. Watch.
Africa, a continent with unparalleled natural beauty and wealth, picturesque landscapes, and unique ecosystems that have been home to many species of animals and birds. But with the arrival of colonial powers, an era of exploitation began. Colonizers quickly identified Africa's rich resources as targets for profit extraction, paying no heed to the consequences for local communities and nature. For profit, the new rulers were willing to commit any crimes: exploitation, cultural destruction, and genocide. In the Belgian Congo under King Leopold II, the region was ruthlessly exploited for rubber extraction. Estimates of deaths range from 5 to 10 million people.
It's so aching to hear things like this. And the problem with us, as I said earlier, is that we don't know our history. We're not eager to know our history. We must. Educationists, historians write the history of Africa. Journalists, political analysts tell the history of Africa to Africans. Don't shy away from it. It's very important. That's the only way we can educate the masses, so that we should not have this tendency of this inferiority complex tendency. We should shy away from things like this. We know our potentials. We know what we have. What we need now is to stand up tall and say no to imperialism, to the French imperialism, to the British imperialism, to the Portuguese imperialism, globally to the European imperialism, to the American imperialism. We should say no to these people and stand tall to build, develop a solid Africa. That is the message I had for you this day, friends. I would suggest that you watch the last part of this cartoon. It tells the history of the ills. The first one you listen to, the terrible things the British, the Belgian did to Congo, for example. They committed a lot of crime in the Congo. The British, the Germans, in their other territories, in Nigeria, in Cameroon, the French, in Namibia, the Germans and all that, they committed a lot of crimes. But why are we not talking about these crimes? Why are we not? It is because our elites are so corrupt to the point that they can take money and forget to tell the history of our continent to our children. We should stand up tall, because if you know your right, you know your history, then you defend yourself correctly. Let's watch this other part.
People in Namibia during the genocide perpetrated by German colonizers aiming to suppress a rebellion. About 65,000 Herero people and 10,000 Nama people perished. Algeria, during the War for Independence from France, faced the severe consequences of the conflict, during which between 300,000 and 1.5 million Algerians died. The war was marred by numerous atrocities committed by French troops.
When you hear things so, if you not get headache, that means you know they're normal. If you listen to things like this, to your history, to the way we've been treated, it still continues today. That's what happened in the yesteryears. That's our history. But if we don't know that history, we'll keep on cautioning what is happening today. Africa needs to free itself from mental slavery. We need to tell our story to our children. That is history. And if we do so, we're going to liberate ourselves. Africa needs to be free. Nobody should allow us stay in this present situation. It's a catastrophic situation. We should know the history of Africa and then try to debunk the lies of imperialism. Not only debunking the lies, fight against the imposition of injustice on us. Fight for our sovereignty. It's very important. Thank you, friends, and bye-bye.